A training script runs successfully from a local environment, and the team can authenticate to Azure. However, no run metrics or artifacts appear under the target Azure machine learning workspace, and the team wants centralized experiment history without rewriting the training loop. What should you do first? Option A, register the trained model first and let MLflow backfill the missing run history in Azure Machine Learning. Option B, create a batch endpoint so workspace metrics are collected automatically. Option C, convert the script to an AutoML job for built-in experiment logging. Option D, configure MLflow to use the workspace tracking URI and authenticate to that workspace. The correct answer is option D, configure MLflow to use the workspace tracking URI and authenticate to that workspace. You have labeled tabular data and need a strong baseline classifier quickly. The team wants Azure Machine Learning to try multiple algorithms and parameter combinations, apply built-in featureization where appropriate, and compare results against a chosen primary metric before investing in custom training code. Which approach is the best fit? Option A, AutoML classification job with a target metric, training data, and exit criteria. Option B, managed online endpoint benchmark before any model selection work. Option C, custom training pipeline with manual algorithm loops, hand-tuned pre-processing, and no initial sweep budget. Option D, prompt flow experiment in Foundry for tabular classifier ranking. The correct answer is option A, AutoML classification job with a target metric, training data, and exit criteria. A security team wants workspace users to authenticate through supported Azure authorization controls, and it wants a training compute cluster to read storage through identity-based access instead of embedded secrets. The team also wants the solution to remain aligned with standard Azure machine learning workspace governance. Which two actions should the team take? Select 2. Option A, enable the ACR admin user for all workspace operations. Option B, assign Azure back roles at the workspace scope. Option C, store storage keys in notebook variables. Option D, rely on private network rules instead of Azure assignments. Option E, grant the compute managed identity storage access. The correct answers are option B, assign Azure back roles at the workspace scope, and option E, grant the compute managed identity storage access. A team has already connected application insights to its Foundry project and wants an ongoing production view of operational metrics and evaluation outcomes for an agent. They do not want a one-time offline comparison view, they want a Foundry native monitoring surface for live traffic. Which Foundry capability is the best fit? Option A, batch evaluation run history. Option B, guardrails and controls panel. Option C, agent monitoring dashboard. Option D, model benchmark leaderboard. The correct answer is option C, agent monitoring dashboard. A team is exploring a new feature set and wants fast iteration before formal pipeline or component versioning. They need an environment where they can inspect data, run cells interactively, and pressure test ideas without converting every trial immediately into a production asset. Which two practices best align with using notebooks for experimentation and exploration? Select 2. Option A, package every hypothesis as a reusable version component before running any exploratory code. Option B, notebook on compute instance for interactive data inspection and code iteration. Option C, restrict investigation to endpoint test panes and deployment logs. Option D, use notebooks as the primary production serving mechanism. Option E, notebook validation first, then operationalize stable logic into jobs or pipelines. The correct answers are option B, notebook on compute instance for interactive data inspection and code iteration, and option E, notebook validation first, then operationalize stable logic into jobs or pipelines. A data science team has converted its experimentation notebook into a Python script and stored it in GitHub. They need reproducible remote training on a compute cluster, explicit environment control, parameterized execution from C/CD, and a pattern that keeps the training code portable between local and cloud runs. Which approach is the best fit in Azure Machine Learning? Option A, Compute Instance Notebook Run. Option B, Automated ML Training Run. Option C, Design a Pipeline-Only Workflow. Option D, Command Job with Training Script. The correct answer is Option D, Command Job with Training Script. A bank has registered multiple versions of a credit risk model in Azure Machine Learning. Version 12 is no longer approved for new deployments, but audit teams still require full lineage, reproducibility, and the ability to review prior artifacts during investigations. Which action should the MLOps team take? Option A, delete model version 12 from registry. Option B, archive model version 12. Option C, rebuild endpoint from version 12. Option D, tag version 12 as champion for rollback. The correct answer is Option B, archive model version 12. A fraud detection managed online endpoint was deployed successfully, but test invocations now return intermittent HTTP 500 errors for production-shaped payloads. The deployment itself is healthy, and the platform team needs the fastest first step that can distinguish scoring script failures from environment or dependency issues. What should the team do first? Option A, increase the data drift baseline window. Option B, switch the service to batch inference. Option C, redeploy an archived model version. Option D, review container and inference logs. The correct answer is Option D, review container and inference logs. A team stores training files in Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 and wants multiple Azure Machine Learning jobs to reference that storage without hard-coding long URIs into every job definition. The security team also wants connection handling centralized so the platform can use supported authentication patterns instead of embedding secrets in scripts. What should the team create first? Option A, a version data asset. Option B, a compute cluster. Option C, an environment. Option D, a data store. The correct answer is Option D, a data store. A team stores training files in Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 and wants multiple Azure Machine Learning jobs to reference that storage without hard-coding long URIs into every job definition. The security team also wants connection handling centralized so the platform can use supported authentication patterns instead of embedding secrets in scripts. What should the team create first? Option A, a version data asset. Option B, a compute cluster. Option C, an environment. Option D, a data store. The correct answer is Option D, a data store. A data science team needs a managed target for nightly model training that can scale out automatically when multiple runs are queued and drop idle cost when no training is running. Individual engineers still use personal notebook environments during the day, but the question is specifically about the production training target. Which compute target is the best fit for the nightly training jobs? Option A, compute cluster. Option B, dedicated compute instance with scheduled startup. Option C, managed online endpoint. Option D, workspace data store. Correct answer is Option A, compute cluster. An insurer must score 4 million claim records every night and deliver results before 4 a.m. The workload is not interactive, requests arrive as large files rather than per user API calls, and the operations team wants a managed Azure machine learning inference pattern rather than custom orchestration. Which deployment choice is the best fit? Option A, managed online endpoint with one deployment. Option B, serverless API endpoint for nightly scoring. Option C, batch endpoint with managed compute. Option D, AKS online endpoint with custom ingress rules. The correct answer is Option C, batch endpoint with managed compute. A team wants to evaluate an agent in Foundry by using a realistic test set of user queries and responses. Some evaluators require query, response, and context fields, and the team wants to avoid manual pre-processing whenever possible. What should they do first? Option A, export only production traces to PDF and score them manually outside Foundry. Option B, build a batch endpoint and infer evaluation fields from endpoint logs. Option C, use only a model target and skip any dataset because evaluators can derive missing inputs. Option D, prepare a CSV original test dataset, then verify and adjust the portal's field mapping per evaluator. The correct answer is option D, prepare a CSV original test dataset, then verify and adjust the portal's field mapping per evaluator. A platform team is onboarding a regulated ML solution that must separate development and production access, keep cost reporting distinct, and avoid mixing experimental assets with production assets. The team also wants a structure that supports standard Azure AI and clean promotion patterns later. Which design is the best fit? Option A, one workspace per project with manual asset copying. Option B, separate dev and prod workspaces with backend managed identities. Option C, one shared workspace with environment tags only. Option D, separate resource groups but a single workspace. The correct answer is option B, separate dev and prod workspaces with backend managed identities. A platform team is onboarding a regulated ML solution that must separate development and production access, keep cost reporting distinct, and avoid mixing experimental assets with production assets. The team also wants a structure that supports standard Azure AI and clean promotion patterns later. Which design is the best fit? Option A, one workspace per project with manual asset copying. Option B, separate dev and prod workspaces with backend managed identities. Option C, one shared workspace with environment tags only. Option D, separate resource groups but a single workspace. The correct answer is option B, separate dev and prod workspaces with backend managed identities. A team is deploying a public-facing writing assistant and wants its validation pipeline to identify harmful prompts before generation and detect unsafe generated text during evaluation. The security lead does not want the team to rely only on prompt wording or manual spot checks. Which two controls best fit this requirement? Select 2. Option A, Fluency Evaluator for all prompts and outputs. Option B, Azure AI Content Safety for harmful content detection. Option C, Relevance Evaluator with stricter thresholding. Option D, Safety System Message Only, with no separate safety service. Option E, Prompt Shields to analyze adversarial or jailbreak-style prompts before generation. The correct answers are Option B, Azure AI Content Safety for harmful content detection, and Option E, Prompt Shields to analyze adversarial or jailbreak-style prompts before generation. A bank already reviewed top-line fairness summary metrics for a credit risk model, but the approval board wants 2 additional checks before sign-off. They specifically want to identify which customer segments experience materially different failure patterns and understand which input features are driving model behavior. Which 2 actions best address that requirement? Select 2. Option A, review endpoint latency and throughput metrics. Option B, run counterfactual what-if analysis first. Option C, use error analysis across cohorts. Option D, review feature importance explanations. Option E, inspect model registry lineage. The correct answers are Option C, use error analysis across cohorts, and Option D, review feature importance explanations. A support agent built in Microsoft Foundry must block medium and above violent or self-harm completions, but the team does not want to block low-severity user prompts that are still legitimate support requests. They also want jailbreak detection enabled and need the policy applied only to the production deployment that serves external customers. Which action is the best fit? Option A, connect application insights and enable tracing. Option B, create a custom content filter and associate it with the deployment. Option C, raise the model temperature and shorten responses. Option D, restrict public network access and tighten back. The correct answer is Option B, create a custom content filter and associate it with the deployment. A customer support copilot has doubled in cost over the past week, but the team confirms that request volume and deployment count have stayed flat. They want the metric pattern that most strongly points to the real cause before they switch models or redesign prompts. Which pattern is the best indicator of the cost driver? Option A, stable tokens but lower success rate. Option B, rising 5xx errors and retry traffic. Option C, higher throughput with fewer prompt tokens. Option D, higher completion tokens per call. The correct answer is option D, higher completion tokens per call. A RAG assistant indexes long policy PDFs as very large chunks, and users report that the system often misses the one paragraph that actually contains the answer. The current vector query also applies a strict minimum threshold, so borderline but useful passages are often filtered out. Which two changes are the best first tuning actions? Select 2. Option A, increase chunk size to several pages. Option B, reduce chunk size to semantically coherent sections. Option C, lower the minimum similarity threshold slightly. Option D, use structure-aware chunking during indexing. Option E, disable vector search and rely on filters. The correct answers are option C, lower the minimum similarity threshold slightly, and option D, use structure-aware chunking during indexing.